Hello, retail traders. This is the Washboardjim. I'm coming to you Sunday. We're going to talk about the sneaky snake trading strategy, where we talk about chart patterns, moving averages, and being in the now. And man, what a great week we had last week. I mean, it was beautiful. And I think this week can be the same. So let's go ahead and talk about some of my favorite indices. Oh, what do we got? IWM. I just noticed something about the IWM that kind of looking at it as a long-term trade and how I can kind of coincide what I'm looking at. I see a two-headed snake. We have an inverse head and shoulders right here, with the head being right here, and we broke that shoulder line of that two-headed snake. I'm going to draw that trend line. Now pay attention to this moving average right here. This is the 300 simple moving average. The 300 simple moving average on the weekly time frame. As you can see, it acted as a support level. Once we broke that, it came back and acted like a support level. So that's what we're going to use as a pivot point or a support level when it gets ready to pull back. But I'm going to show you the shoulder line of this inverse head and shoulders first. It draws right straight across there, all the way across there. Then you got it coming down and seeping down a little bit. And she matches right up to that 300. Let's take this to the right. Put it on the default. Runs right into the 300. So I got two confirmations now that that's a solid support. I'm going to make that a solid support for this week. If we can hold that, I think we can be enough bullishness to start bringing this up and break it out of these other moving averages to reach to that 200, which would be the second hardest resistance to break after we break these moving averages, and then the long triple top up here at the top. Now if you notice, this creates an ascending triangle. We're going to use the body of the candle and also the wick. We've got the wick on there, and now we've got the body. And we're going to put a channel of resistance all the way across. So that's our goal. That's our target by Christmas, if we can get up that high. I think we can. If we break out past the 200, I know we can. But you notice, maybe not, because I'm noticing maybe we have a head and shoulders up here, and that hard resistance might be right around 191. So let's think about that first, because that head and shoulders becomes a hard resistance. Yeah, definitely. We're going to turn that into a red line. So support is going to be off the 300. Let's magnify this up so I can get a good look at it. Off that white line, just a little bit above it. Oh, I didn't see this, but man, that lined up real well. 176.69 this week to hold. 176.69 on the IWM. This is a bullish flag after a huge breakout, and we got a huge gap. So if it does fail that support level of 176.69, you could have a real strong support. If it knifes and we have a bad week, yes, definitely, we'll stop here at 174.50. I'm pretty sure of that. And then if it gets real nasty, we don't get into that gap. We want to hold this yin-yang right here. So this thing could easily come back down on the yearly. As I look at the daily, 174.50. So low support, resistance to break coming this week is going to be at the top of this candle right here at 178.77, with a target to the 300 and the 200 up here by the end of the week, which is right around 180, 181, with a solid support to hold at 174.50. And maybe we can get in here and scalp this thing first thing in the morning at 176.69. That's the IWM. The next one is QQQ. QQQ, we hit a year-long resistance Now, oh, look at that. Year-long resistance. I think we might have broke it here. No, we didn't break it, if you count the wick. But we come awful darn close, and they know it. Wow. I'm going to have to say solid support pullback is going to be off this here body of this candle right here, which closes in on the 9 EMA. Man, this is real stout. If this breaks, we could have a good run in the market. If this doesn't break in that resistance, I'm going to call it out here. Right there. On the body of that candle right there. Just a little bit above the body of this candle. So that's a real hard, that'll be a triple top break. If we come in here next week, Monday, this thing bounces back up and the body starts to reach this body right here and we get close to that resistance level, we could have a triple top break. Now, I know how to play these triple tops. I bet you we come back down and hit this 9, fill this gap, and then run back up. So I'm definitely going to follow the 9 on the daily time frame for support. And that's going to be the top of this candle right here for right now. So let's draw a support line right there and set the alert just a little bit above the 9 for next week. At the below, mark it and at the below. Now this is really nice. This is a double top break. We hit the double top. She's going to come back down, maybe. And if it holds this support this week, this body right here at 383.50 and runs up and hits this triple top and breaks, oh my gosh, I think we're going to have one heck of a week. That's on the QQQ. Yeah, I mean, that looks delicious. It could easily pull back to this support level. Looking at the 20-day 1 hour, so I bet you we do pull back to 379.90. I know that every time frame can give you a different story, but this is telling me we're going to need to pull back to the 200 and gain some respect, and then go ahead and come up and break that triple top. That's QQQ. The next one's a SPY. We're going to go to the weekly. We called this bounce up here, and we called the resistance up here off the shoulder line of this head and shoulders. So let's use that same head and shoulders that we had right here as a resistance level for the next one that's coming up. $453.57. So if we break 453.57, this is the shoulder line of the head and shoulders. Left shoulder, right shoulder, right shoulder, right. This one broke out a little bit here. So you could run the trend line from here to the body of this. And we're going to use the body. Whoops. Of that candle right there to the body of that one, and that could be your hard resistance. Let's go ahead and put price line in on them. These are the weekly time frames is what I'm using. I want to match this resistance to this trend line to any candle that I can over here. So I'm going to match it right in here between this gap right there. That's going to be my resistance level, 459.70. If we break 453.57, that's going to be my resistance. If we can't break that, we're going to pull back, run up, and hit the 21 and use that as the support on the weekly time frame. So that's the 21 EMA. Let's go to the yearly. You can easily find support. So them were resistance levels, and this was my support at 439.98. And that's the bottom of the gap. So that, you know, would have to have some trouble. So on the daily, we're going to use the double bottom of the gap break for a support level to rely on to stay bullish next week. I'm going to turn that red. There you go. So that's it. If we don't hold 446.22 this week, we're going to drop down and come close, maybe 441. That's where we're going to set our alert for the drama. And to break resistance, the 453.57 for a double top break into a double top resistance on the yearly time frame. So the SPY needs to hold support at 44622. If not, she'll have a good drop to the 9 and then finally maybe land right off the bottom of the gap. And the last and at least on the indices is the SPX. Another beautiful call in this room last week on the SPX. Man, some of these contracts went up to $1,000. Whammy. We called it off this bottom down here, off the 300, simple moving average. And she's done nothing but bounced off that 300. So I've been using the 300. And I use the 200. But I find out a lot of times when I'm using the 200 and we fail, I can rely on that 300 simple moving average. So keep that in mind. Add it to a private chart and watch it. If we break the 200, set your next alert level to the 300. So here we have an inverse head and shoulders. We have a head and a right left shoulder. We broke out to a double top up here. This is a cool looking chart. I mean, this thing can go a lot higher. I want to just see what I'm seeing. Let's go to the weekly before I get carried away. It was the weekly one that we were going to talk about. So we called out this trade. There we go. We called this trade out off the 200 last September, off the 3 black crows. Bounced up, pulled back, created inverse head and shoulders. Bounced up. We broke the 1 year moving at 1 year double top. And then we found the head and shoulders on the 3 year weekly time frame. So that's what we're going to use as resistance still as of today. I'm going to magnify this up. I'm going to use the body of the candle. To the right. We found resistance here. We found left shoulder, right shoulder, right shoulder, and right shoulder. But first we got to break the double top. And that's why we hit Friday. So this stock can easily come back and pull back and hit the 21. We're going to use the body of this candle for our alert. And we're going to set our price line right there. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's bring it to the yearly. This is a good looking chart. So we know that the hard resistance is going to be off this double top, but it's going to be a little bit higher because it rhymes up with that 3 year weekly shoulder line of the head and shoulders. So what we want to do is we want to break this next resistance. This is the one that was on the weekly, and I think that means more than maybe this double top. But if we run up and touch the double top too after the snake, I think we can go ahead and maybe if we break that resistance, it's smooth sailing to the gap, which is the next resistance right here off this red candle. Right there at 4450.9. So we got 3 different, I'm not even going to go anywhere else with this trade. I'm just going to call it out the way I see it right here. We pull back to the bottom of that candle and that rises right above the 9. This is on the daily. So we want to hold this support this week. That is 445946. We'll make that a red line. So that's it. We got to hold that support, that low support. If it starts to get nasty, $4,459.46. To break resistance, we got this weekly one, which is 451526, and then the solid one, 4530. And if we can break that, I think we can run it up to 4550.09. And then by Christmas, we'll hit that double top on the yearly, somewhere around 4560 area, 4600, I mean. So that's it. I want to bring you a trade that we did Friday. Well, how I feel about the market, I heard you ask that. I feel bullish, and I feel like I've been telling everybody in the last 2 weeks to buy the dips. Come in here, they're going to sell it. And if you get a dip, if you're in a good trade, if you're in a trade that you're in, buy the dip and scalp it, day trade it, and keep your core position, because I still think we're in for a run by the end of the year. But buy the dip on any good stocks that you're watching. That's what we did with Tesla. Tesla, them suckers came out. So I'm bullish, but I'm also going to be very defensive. At this stage of time when we're at resistance. For example, Tesla right here. They came out with that news about Elon being a racist, and Elon's not no racist. But the media, the way they act and the way they viewed Elon, it was like a great opportunity. When I heard that, man, I pulled up Tesla and said, let's look at Tesla, because I'm a bull on Tesla. No matter how bad the news is, especially when they do this shit on purpose, they do it all the time. I've been watching it for 12 years, every day. I've heard it I've heard all of it. Now they're pulling the race card. I mean, that's getting low blow. And he used to be a liberal. He still is a liberal. He's a big liberal. He's a liberal like I am, no fashion kind, that have a heart. So we came in here. This is what I tell the room. It's called the sneaky snake trading strategy. Snake, breakout, pullback, boom. I'll talk about it every day. I show exactly how to trade it. So we drew out the snake, and once it broke the snake, I alerted the room. I said, hey, hold on here. Let's watch it pull back and see if we can create a double bottom on this snake. So if you actually really look at it real close, we come very, very closely. We did hit a double bottom off a wick. We have the double bottom, we have the breakout, it pulls back. It creates a double bottom off the wick. See what I'm saying? With a higher low. And that's what did the trade in. That's what Jimmy said, hey, get ready. We're going to have a good bounce on this crappy fake news. I love these sell-offs pre-market, right into the pre-market. So the snake came out. Now I'm going to show you where we got the confirmation to take this trade. You see this right in here? This is called an ascending triangle. This is an ascending triangle. Ascending triangle. So that's what our target was for that trade. We had these previous lows the day before. See these previous lows right in here? So I drew a trend line across there. Then we had this other resistance level right in here on these three right here. So I pulled up the 1 minute. We came back and we hit that second support and broke it. So I knew we were getting ready to the third support that we needed to watch this trade. So once we broke out of the snake, out of my trend line of this double top right here, and I called this a head of a head and shoulders. Once we broke out of that top, I alerted the room. I said, hey, let's get in this trade. We hit that second support level and I bought my first contract. Then it came back and then we bought the second. Once it had the double dip right here, came out, broke down a little bit, came up, found my resistance where I got in the trade, and then came back and we had the higher low, which created an ascending triangle, and then we had the breakout. And we run it up to the 51 and sold some and run it up to the 200 and got out of the trade. But it was an excellent trade. It's called snake breakout pullback boom. Snake breakout pullback. So it gives you all the time to take that trade if you want to get in it. And I was bullish on the trade because it was oversold off the news. I've seen this happen over and over and over and over and over. It's just a great opportunity to take a trade like that. So that's it. We got in it, called it out. I got in at 297 and 275 and sold it at 335 and 530. Two exit ideas. Once you get in a trade like this and you get in at the double bottom higher low, the exit idea would be the 51 EMA, and then if that breaks, you could run it all the way up to the 200. Keep in mind these other moving averages are indicators to keep you also in the trade as you move up the ladder. The 9 crossing the 21, the EMA 9 crossing the 21 SMA will keep you in the trade. So there's a lot of different ideas to stay. And this trade alone, if you would have spent, what, $3,000, you'd had a nice 35-40% gainer on that one, 100% gainer on that one. It ran all the way to 680. So 100%, you spend 3, you make 3. So keep that in mind. Sneaky Snake trading strategy, where we talk about chart patterns, moving averages, and being in the now. And that last trade is what I call the Sneaky Snake trading strategy, where you have the breakdown, which is the snake, the breakout into a pattern, and then boom. Have a great day. See you Monday, live on YouTube.